All right, so I'm having a nerd moment because I'm 31 and I'm finally old enough to use my own money to, make enough to buy equipment that's better. When I'm not playing music or, doing all the normal things that a married guy does, I love to dork out on cameras. My aunt was a photographer growing up and she always shot on Canon cameras. She always told me that she liked those the most because of the color. I honestly can't disagree. When I was a kid, I ended up getting this first starter camera that was like my Rebel. I had a buddy named Isaac who taught me how to shoot on manual and not just on automatic, and it was a really kind thing to do. He took me to this park one day, learned ISO and shutter speed and aperture and what those three things do for cameras, and that kind of started my addiction with taking photos. And then I actually am more addicted to editing photos, I think, than actually shooting photos. So I love the editing process. I love Lightroom, and there's something about colors that I just find very pleasing. I followed this influencer when I was in my early 20s named Teza, and I loved her style of shooting. I loved just the angle of her photos and her colors, and I used her app for a little bit for edits before I used Lightroom. With Teza, I saw that she used it was a Canon 5D. It was like a Mark IV, which was like the newest one at the time. And it was a full frame camera. I had a crop lens with the Rebel. She used a 35mm lens. I looked it up at the time, and I think it was over probably 1,000 back then. I think the lens was more than the camera itself. I thought I needed all these things new. There were like wedding photographers that were always upgrading, and they kind of get rid of older cameras once the newer stuff comes out. So I found this Canon 60. It was only a Mark I. It's an older generation, but I got an EOS 60. It was my first full frame camera, and I already knew how to shoot on manual, and I ended up using this camera to second shoot some weddings with some friends that were photographers back when I lived in Orlando. And I loved it, and I kind of didn't have a lot of responsibility at the time. I was doing gigs. I would second shoot for people, and I'd just hand over my SD card and give them the photos. So this has always just been something that I've been passionate about, but I haven't really made time for. When I bought this camera, the girl actually didn't sell me a lens with it. Ended up buying, it was like $100 or $125 at the time, a 50mm lens, which was like all the rave back then because of the bokeh. And the bokeh was just like the blurry background. And I ended up getting this 50mm, and it was great. It was definitely better than like a stock lens. It's fixed, so there's no zoom or anything on it. You kind of got to back up a little far from your subjects. It's got a nice little distance that you got to get. You don't have to get as close as a lot of lenses. And I really loved it, and still shooting on manual. But this camera had like this secret sauce in it, and she made like this custom preset. It was like on the C1 preset on the top. Everything just came out really nice and like really warm, and the colors were good, and the exposure was like a little low and muted. And she had like this automatic setting on C1 that made all my photos just look very good. And this is what started my Stormfolk photos with the band. I could hand this camera off to someone who didn't know about photography and shooting and manual and all that stuff, and it was taking phenomenal photos. And it was a full frame, and it wasn't a mirrorless or anything. It had the actual glass in it. And the thing about that camera is, in the really hot, humid gigs, the mirror would fog up like really quickly, like whenever you walk out of a car and your glasses fog up. So you would have to let it acclimate for a little bit sometimes, especially in Florida weather. This camera is really good, especially once you get it warm and outside and you let it adjust to the temperature. I still think I like the lighting more on this full frame DSLR camera than the mirrorless, even though the mirrorless is stunning and beautiful. But this full frame camera, it does something with light that I can't explain, and it softens your subjects, and I like the way it makes highlights look. And I still would use this camera, but then I started getting into video. And this camera, the 6D, didn't have autofocus, which is like a big deal. At least it didn't have autofocus that tracked people, and you would have to manually change your focus. So it wasn't serving me whenever I needed to switch over to a video and do like a Stormfolk, whatever. I had a new dilemma where I needed to upgrade my camera again. I was thinking about switching brands when I was already so familiar with Canon, and Canon felt big. It felt bigger in my hands than a Nikon did. If I couldn't use Canon, I'd probably go Sony. I really like the way Sony video looks, especially in low light. Ended up going back to Facebook Marketplace and I needed an upgrade and I ended up buying this camera locally. So I bought a Canon RP. It was my first mirrorless camera and it was a full frame still, and it's my current one that I'm using today. Again, it's not your nicest camera, and it's not gonna be like one of the top end cameras now, but it serves me very well. I love squeezing all of the quality I can out of my cameras and out of my edits. You'll see almost all of my edits like on our band page, Stormfolk. I really love the quality photos. I've only just started using this 35mm lens, which is why I made this video, because I finally am at the age of 31 years old where I make my own money and I can spend that money on whatever I want. It's one of the great things about being an adult. So one of them is for my hobbies, like photography. We used this for the first time at our show yesterday. Again, it's a fixed lens. It doesn't have zoom or anything, but it makes everything look a lot more cinematic, which I love. It just, I don't know, again, it does something to the lights, and the focus was excellent, and the videos, which I'm about to edit now for the band. I track the audio on our laptop and I'm about to add it to the videos and color grade it and all that good stuff and make some reels out of them. I really wanted to tell you that I recommend this. I love it. It's my first mirrorless. This is also my first camera that had a flip out screen, which is a big deal. So whenever I'm in my studio or something, I can turn it around and I can see myself and I can actually like see what's going on. And then, you know, if you're holding it, you can flip it up towards you and you can see your video. So this Canon RP is excellent. And again, I came with a stock lens whenever I got it from the guy, and the stock lens just wasn't quite doing it. It wasn't really getting me what I wanted as far as the look. So again, shooting on manual was a little bit of a learning curve, because my other one had the dial and I could like rotate, and I knew where everything was and all my buttons, and everything's pretty similar. Like my shutter speed is still on the top on that little dial. My aperture has a new dial now, and it's like another dial that's in the back here that you can just move back and forth right here in the back. So you got your shutter speed and your aperture here. And then the exposure is pretty simple. It's right on the screen. It's a touch screen. So I like whenever you're video going, you can like touch the subject that you're wanting to focus on, and it'll just automatically hone in and focus on that subject. So 10 out of 10. Love this camera. I'm posting this because I'm a nerd and I love photography, and I wish I had more photography gigs, and I just don't market myself as a photographer. But if I ever have friends that need photos, you know, especially my family, they never hesitate to ask, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy taking photos for like parties and, you know, whatever. We live on a beach, so I'm sure I could do beach photos and everything else. So if you ever need some photos, just ask, and I'd love to do them for you. I really like portraits, so I'm not a real super big landscape guy, though Claire and I are making a trip this year. I'm a fan of these games called Life is Strange, and Life is Strange is all set in the Pacific Northwest. You have Seattle, you have this like area called Arcadia Bay, which isn't a real place, but it's based on some real locations. So Claire and I are going to the Pacific Northwest in October, and we're doing some hiking, and we're actually getting around. We're flying to Portland and going to the coast, and going up the coastline, and then flying back out of Seattle. It's like a 9-day thing. So I'm very excited this year to actually use my camera instead of handing it off at shows and, you know, doing music and watching other people use my camera. So there's going to be a lot of good photos, a lot of good edits, and I can't wait to see what it all turns out to look like. And then Clara actually, I think she's caught a little of the camera fever. She has a camera that arrives today. Going to be like one of those more disposable cameras. It still has like a micro SD card. She just wanted something that she can like casually like take pictures, and it looks good straight out of the card. She can plug right into her phone and get some cool little vintage looking photos. So Claire gets her camera today, so I can't just wait to see what those look like too, and what we capture on the trip. So anyway, I made this video just talking about my just step upgrades from camera to camera, and know that to make quality photos, it really is about your eye and your taste and your preferences. And there's going to be people that hate your work, and then there's going to be people that love your work, and then there's people that don't even notice. and they're on social media all the time, and they're used to perfect pictures, and they'll just never notice how good you edit or not. But I would say, like, keep pursuing it, especially if you don't do it professionally, because it's a very fun hobby to have, because you're making memories and you're printing memories out for people to see beautifully. So if you have any questions or need to hire someone, or if you just want someone to take you to a park and teach you how to shoot on manual on a camera, and you're tired of shooting on automatic all the time, I could tell you how to do that too. So here's Mick with my bed head and my glasses on right now, here at home. I work tonight, and I love my cameras, so I'll forever be a Canon dude. It's been a great little upgrade to this 35mm lens, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Thanks for watching this video if you made it to the end.